All right, what we're going to do next is a couple of drawing exercises that I call virtual pyramids, because what they do is they approximate to a very high degree of accuracy the 51 degree, 51 minute slope to base angle of the Great Pyramid. They're a little bit off, but for all practical purposes, they're so close that if you wanted to draw a profile of the Great Pyramid for whatever reason, either one of these two methods would work. And they're interesting exercises in their own right. And they also show the relationship between the vesica, which is an important figure within sacred geometry and one that we've been learning about, the relationship between the vesica and the pyramid cross-section. So to get started, I'm going to simply put a horizontal line on my paper. I'm going to use pencil at this point until I get a little further along. These are just going to be construction lines, until layout lines, if you will. All right. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a vesica. And I will do it about like this. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to enclose my two generating circles within a larger vesica like this. The next step is going to be to draw a vertical axis through my drawing like this. And now I'm going to have a point here. I'm a little bit off, but I'm going for speed rather than accuracy. Hopefully when you do these drawings you can focus in and concentrate on accuracy and getting all your points to line up. Okay, now what we're going to do is we need to erect a perpendicular to the bottom of the inner vesica. And I think we'll go ahead and call that A, and we'll call the corresponding opposite end of the vesica B. And what we're going to do now is we're going to erect a perpendicular to line AB that passes through A. So I could do it, I actually have a couple of different ways I could go about this. I could use my method for erecting perpendicular lines that I've learned, or I could actually do parallel lines by drawing a parallel to this horizontal axis. In fact, why don't I call this CD? So we just have a name for it. That will be horizontal axis CD. And I think what I'm going to do though is I'm going to just do a perpendicular. And since I've already got some points on my paper, I'm going to utilize what's there. I could do any radius I want, but I'm going to take the length of my inner vesica, because you should notice that it's the same length. It gives us the inner vesica length is 1/3 the length of the outer vesica. So if I take this dimension here, and then I'm going to use these 2 points. Let's call this one down here F. I'm going to use F and B as centers. I'm going to open my compass to FB. And I'm going to draw an arc way out here and one over here. And then I'm going to set my compass at center B, swing an arc. Now if I had completed this, you can see I would actually have another vesica in there, but I don't need to draw that vesica. All I'm interested in is these 2 points here and here. It also would work to not open my compass all the way, just as long as it's greater than the distance from F to A. You'll notice, I'll show you here so you can see it for yourself. You see now a straight edge laid across these points should actually connect all the points, just like that. And that will give you the perpendicular to FB. And I'm going to draw that in, and I'm going to terminate it and let it be terminated by the arcs of the large vesica, just like that. And I think we will call this point G, and this will be point H. The last thing to do is to connect H to B, like this, and B to G, and there's my virtual pyramid. Now, I think I'm going to fancy this up a little bit because it's, like I said, it's an interesting diagram in itself. So I'm going to just ink this in like this. And I'm going to draw this in. This particular drawing, by the way, appeared in one of John Michel's early books, The View Over Atlantis, which is on the recommended reading list. Let's see, what else can I do with this? Oh, you know what looks good? And then in the drawing, the way John Michel showed it, he actually introduced the two rhombuses that are formed by the outer and the inner vesica. Like this. Okay, I think I'm going to add a little bit of heavy up these pyramid lines so they really show up in this diagram. Like that. And there it is. John Michel's commentary on this diagram is kind of interesting. He says, it will be further noted that the two intersecting circles which meet at the pyramid's tip create what appears to be the magnetic diagram. There is every indication that this figure of pure geometry, showing the pyramid set within the tetractys and the vesica piscis, represents the plan of a certain form of energy, the fusion of terrestrial current with the celestial spark, of which the Great Pyramid was once the generator. Geometers will be interested to find that this figure provides the means of constructing the elusive diagram, symbol of the union of opposites as matter and spirit, the circle squared. We will save that for a future lesson, not too distant future, but if you haven't read it already, I would recommend reading The View Over Atlantis. He also mentions that within the tetractys, we've not talked about the tetractys yet, but we will be talking about that soon. Now we're going to go on to the second virtual pyramid exercise.